This video tutorial is about how to do an assembly in Inventor. Once you have all of your parts, those are IPT files, you need to be able to put it together. And that's done in an entirely new file called an assembly. I can come up here to New, or just click on this little piece of paper up here as well. I'll choose New, and you'll see that after your part file, the next one is an IAM, or an assembly file. We want to choose the standard.iam. I'll double click on that one. And that brings up the assembly. Now, there's only a couple of things I can do up here in the ribbon. Inventor does a pretty good job of making the first thing that you need to do the very first option. So I need to place, and that's going to allow me to place the components. I'm going to use as my example the train, but this will work for anything that you're working on. I usually the first thing I want to drop is the base, the thing that everything else is going to be attached to. In this case, I want to choose the train body. So I double click on the IPT file for the train body, and that brings it in. And with all of these files, I can bring in more than one of something. If you have a screw, you might need 10 of them, and then you can just keep clicking to drop more. If you only need that one, you can press escape. Now, by default, this train body can still move around. I want to be able to lock that in place, and I can do that over here in the browser by right-clicking where it says train body and choosing grounded. Grounded will lock it, and you'll see the little pin there in the assembly. That lets you know that this file is now locked in there. Now I can bring in my other files. So I'll come to place, and I'll choose, let's say, the linkage arm. I know I need 2 of those, so I can just click twice, come up to place again. Cow catcher, I need 1. Hitch magnet, there's 1 of those, and I'm just placing them wherever for now because I can put them together later. And I'll do 4 wheels, and that should be enough for now. I'll bring in the let's do the linkage peg. I'll need 4 of those as well. So once you have all those pieces, then you're ready for the next part. Let me expand this out a little bit. When something is round, when 2 objects are round, like with this wheel, I have this hole and this hole are meant to line up because then the screw will screw in there and keep those together. And when that's the case, it becomes really easy to put things together. We're always doing a constraint, which is up here. C is the quick key for it. If you press C on your keyboard, this will also pop it up. But constraints are the way that we tell 2 objects to stick together. And if you have those round holes that you need to line up, that's actually the easiest one. That's right here, your 4th option, which is called insert. So I'll click on that, and the first thing I want to do, you'll notice it'll only highlight the holes. I'm going to click on the outside of that hole. Now I want to click on the hole in the wheel that's going to line up and be even or flush with that initial hole that I clicked. So if I click the front of this one, that's not going to work. That's going to put the wheel on backwards. So I'm going to cancel that and do it again correctly here for you. Choose the insert option again. Choose hole, and then on the back, that's the one that I want to choose, because if I pick both of those, then that is where they will line up. When I click apply now, that one is in place, and with the insert, you should still be able to revolve around that center axis with any part. So let's keep going through with this. I'm going to choose insert again, pick that one, and choose that wheel, apply it. Now that I have those 2, let's pick the linkage arm. So I'm going to choose that one, and then I don't want it to be on the front. I want the back of this hole to be lined up with the back right here. So depending on where you click, it's going to change. Now sometimes you'll need to move something around too. So after you click apply, you can hit cancel and move this around again. And so now I can say, all right, so I need to insert again. I want to choose there and that one, and apply. And part of the simulation aspect of this program is when I have one moving, I should be able to then see how it'll move both of those pieces. Now if I do a constraint that I don't like, let's say I do this one and I put it here, let's say, and I apply it, and I realize later, oh, that's not right. What I need to do is find that over in the browser, and if I select any of these, you'll see that they highlight in the browser, and when I maximize these, when I hit the plus sign next to them, insert is one of those options. I can right click on any constraint that I've made and delete it, and then it'll no longer apply. And so now I can come back here, hit C for constrain, choose my insert option again, and say I want the inside bottom of that linkage peg to fit right there. And if I get going fast enough, I can actually do this fairly quickly. let's do the top here. I want the bottom of that smokestack to be at the bottom of that hole that we've created for it. I'm going to do the front to this, and then I'll apply it and hit cancel so I can move this around and adjust it. With this one, I need at least 2 different places where it's connected to keep it from rotating around. So I'll say that that peg should go in that hole. And if you ever get a problem like this, that's because you've made a dimension that's wrong somewhere. So with this one, it could either be the cow catcher could be wrong, or the train body itself can be wrong. One way you can test that is if you come here to view, you can change the visual style to wireframe and see where they line up. And it looks like, yeah, they're not quite there. In which case, change it back to shaded. I'm going to have to either adjust the train or the cow catcher. So one of the things that you'll notice is making sure that your dimensions are correct isn't just something you do for a grade, but it'll actually make your life easier. And if I need to adjust either of these, I can double click on them, and that brings me into the standard part file for them, or I can just go to File, Open that specific part and work in there as well. But as long as I'm double clicked and everything else is invisible, this is just like the part. So I now have all of my options in here. I could come back here and adjust these measurements, find out which one is wrong. Once I've fixed it, I can click return up here in the top right hand corner, and it'll take me back to the assembly. So I can still work on individual part files even in the assembly. The eventual end result, what I want is when I press F6, I get that isometric view, and I want an assembled whatever my product is in that isometric so that we can use that for further projects. And then I can keep working through this, keep using that insert. There's another video tutorial that talks about how if you don't have 2 holes that line up, like with the puzzle block, sometimes you have to match edges to each other, and there's another tutorial about that as well.